The Path of Exile New League 3.25 has now been out for 5 days. Out of the 5th day, which today is the 5th day, I have played 2 days. If I do /played here, 2 days, 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 23 seconds of active in-game time. So let's give my first impressions of how I'm feeling about the game and the current league so far. Let's get one of my favorite things out of the way first. This is the currency exchange system. I guarantee you that this is going to be more of a permanent addition in the game. I am loving this system. This allows me to go in here and say, I want to buy Chaos Orbs, I'll pay Gem Color Prisms, and then you can basically buy and sell currency. Now, you can use this in order to actually profit flip. Depends upon how you feel about that. That is something that will generate you currency. But as a quality of life piece of the game, this solves one of a major issue for me, and I'm sure for people getting into the game. Right when I started Path of Exile, I got hit with people telling me, you need to download Path of Building, you need to download Awaken PoE Trade, you need to learn to use the trade website, you need to learn Craft of Exile, you need to learn 15 other programs, and all of these things are outside of the game itself. And that means that I'm spending less time in the game, and in an already complicated game where people open up the skill tree, they look at that and say, I don't want to have to learn this, or they open up even the Atlas tree and say, I don't want to learn this either. This is another thing that would typically be a barrier to entry for newer players. So having a currency exchange here built into the game in a way that's easily understandable, granted the UI could probably be a little bit better, but this here is a nice addition and solves one issue, which is exchanging your currencies that does now, I no longer have to go outside of the game. So for me, I just want to mention this right off the bat. This is a major step forward in quality of life. It's a major step forward, in my opinion, in helping out people that are trying to understand the game as well. Keep in mind, I have a newer player perspective. I have over 1,000 hours into the game, but this is Path of Exile, where 1,000 hours basically means you're still in the tutorial. So that is part of the reason I like this so much. There is another mechanic that comes with this league. It's sort of this town building management type of thing. Now, I'll be honest with you. I'm not really a town management Andy. I'm not one of the guys who likes Farmville type stuff. I don't really do the Sim City type of stuff in the building and all that. However, I do like one thing about this, which it generates passive currency. If you are somebody who cannot play all day, every single day, what you can do is go to shipping, select a port, for instance, and you can unlock this pretty early into the game. Say, I want to drop off a little bit of each one of these shipments. There's host spreadsheets if you want to really learn min-maxing this, etc. But just for the sake of the argument here, the real basic level, you can add all these little things in here and trade these. It says, okay, 48% chance there's going to be a risk here. Come back in 36 minutes and we'll generate some resources. Click set sell. There you go. Come back in 36 minutes. It will generate some passive income for you. There's also passive income from mapping too. Granted, the map device does seem a little bit dog shit, but then again, I'm not all the way progressed in the game. Even with all the time I have in the game, I'm not far enough where either the shipping or this is really omega paying out yet. I've actually been using most of my currency in the currency exchange system because that's the portion I like of it. I have seen videos of people who have min-maxed this and they're getting significant, massive payouts from this. So at the in-game portion of this, this is a way to generate passive currency without actually actively having to play the game so much. Now, you do have to generate gold that pays your laborers, that will do the things for you, but the gold isn't too bad to get if you're not using the currency exchange system like all of the time. It's really not so bad to actually farm the gold. And at higher levels, the mining people will actually straight up acquire gold for you. Marking ore in areas grants gold equal to the amount of ore. So now my miners will be able to basically generate gold that will help out the base. And there's lots of things you can upgrade about this. So if you're somebody who likes the fact that there's a town, you can upgrade all these different things. This is sort of a new home base. I do think having a home base is a cool theme, where I know you have your hideout, but your hideout sort of just feels like basically a main menu, honestly. It's how you go back there, you're accessing all your different things, and you just go back into the maps. It doesn't really feel like a home base. This does feel like your hometown, which is kind of cool from a thematic point of view. Not so much a gameplay perspective, but just from a cool theme of you have a base, you're slowly progressing your base, you actively see it being developed and becoming cooler, as opposed to just your hideout here that lots of people just have some random anime girls their hideout. The theme of it's actually kind of cool. So overall, from the current league theme of the town building. I like the town building. I don't love it, but that's just because of personal preference. I'm not a town builder guy. I like the tower defense type of stuff way better, and some of the other mechanics. But it's cool. The currency exchange system, however, portion of this league is like 10 out of 10 for me. Absolutely phenomenally executed. The UI could be a little better. There is some bugs that, not really bugs, but like sometimes it'll override the numbers you're typing and you'll like scam yourself, which is highly annoying, if I'm being honest. But the amount of enjoyability I'm getting out of the game from getting currency and being able to go back and immediately sell it and feel that being liquid without having to alt out of the game, go to trade and use this stupid other website, even though, it's decent. It's just less annoying shit I have to do. And Path of Exile has a lot of fun stuff in the game, but all the annoying shit can add up after a while. So for me, honestly, that's the best part about the league. It makes all of this other currency that I'm acquiring actually feel like I'm having progress. Like I have all of these items, okay? And normally in the league, I'll acquire all these random items and I'll go to a website, for instance, like this one. This is Wealthy Exile. It tells me approximately what my bank is worth. I have 55 divines. It's telling me I made 8.5 divines today. I have 55 divines. At least what it's worth. I have 29 in raw divines right now, but it says I have 55 approximately. And normally you'd see all that and it's like, okay, well, maybe I have 55, but I can't really liquidate it as much. But now, again, because of currency exchange, I can liquidate it. So I'm done talking about this portion of it, but this is a massive portion of the reason I'm enjoying this league. One of the most, I feel like, underrated parts about the league, too, is the black market. So this is, you can basically acquire gold, which you just get gold from doing more or less anything in the game. Killing monsters, basically. Killing rare magic packs gives you gold. And you can buy pieces of gear from this, and you unlock the black market really early. So if you're actually doing your hometown in the beginning, you can straight up get upgrades from this. You can just gamba, and there's an item. I mean, it's, not amazing, but it's also not trash, and you can actually straight up gamba items. This is how I got Tanu Ani gloves right in the beginning when I was playing a melee build, and I just gambled them like low level, got the gloves, and was like, that's literally the unique gloves I need. So you can get unique items, you can just pull decent shit right out of this. So this is kind of a cool way to at least get some basic items early. I was a pretty big fan of this as well. I don't really know how much it's going to like stand up to in-game because you're probably going to use your gold and your base would be better and you're going to use it for currency exchange, etc. But from a newer player perspective, if you need like, oh, I need a good pair of boots because I have no resistance or HP and I'm just trying to, progress through the game, you can just go in here and sort of pick them up and maybe you'll get something good. This is actually a very easy way to understand gold, gamba. It feels like D2. I enjoy a good gamba. It's a good way to just acquire basic items right in the beginning. So it's just, again, big fan of the black market. Another nice thing is being able to respecialize with gold in this league. I can go in here and be like, well, I want to refund with my gold, so I can remove here. It gets very expensive in the in-game. You see it's 15,000 gold to use one. Now, this is not worth it because this gold I can use to basically flip in the currency exchange, and I'll make money off of this more than it would cost to get the Orbs of Regrets. But in the beginning, this is actually pretty cheap. So it does pay off in the beginning if you're, again, learning the game and you're like, oh, I made a mistake. Let me respec here. A lot of these things, as a newer player that I'm seeing are added to the game, are all things that I struggle with while learning the game. So again, from the newer player perspective, being able to respec in gold is another pretty big win for me. One other thing I like about this is they do not force this mechanic on you, this King's March mechanic. I, for a while, the reason my town is not like maxed out or anything is I actually haven't been working on this. I wanted to use my gold for gambos and for the currency exchange system. So at the beginning, I wasn't really upgrading this town at all, which is probably a mistake if I was really trying to focus on this. But one of the things I didn't like about the last league in Necropolis was they forced me into it. I had to have, even in the campaign, I had to have these juiced Necropolis maps, and I just didn't want to do it. Honestly, I found it very frustrating for me to have to engage with. So not being forced into this mechanic, but right from the beginning, basically getting access to the black market and the currency exchange like very early is another win because I can enjoy just those parts and then skip the major base building mechanic if I don't want to do this. There is some, bonus enchantments, etc. out of this. So this more than likely is going to be the type of thing that maybe you're not forced into doing it, but you sort of pseudo are, much like June Unveil mechanic, because you really kind of have to have these crafts, etc. I'm not sure yet. I don't really understand these well enough to be able to tell you, but I know most times in this game, from what I've seen, when there's other crafting options available, unlocking all of the crafting options are pretty massive in the game, so I'm sure this is eventually going to be something you need. And people are pulling like pretty big resources, rewards from this shipping. I think it was Ziggy D that was able to math this out. I think Rax has a video on this as well as of this morning that explains like how this system works and how to actually optimize your currency off of it. So if you are somebody who's just looking for as much profit as possible, the cool thing about this is you can do this while you're also running maps. So you just come back within time, and it's a min-max thing, but it's also good for passive people that just don't have the time to play as well. So I kind of like that both sides of the people were able to use this one. So overall, honestly, you can probably tell by now, I'm actually a pretty big fan of this league. I really kind of didn't enjoy last league. In fact, I did a video talking about how I kind of didn't like the Necropolis League because I feel like it was the antithesis of this league. This league feels like it's easier for people to get into Path of Exile as newer players. And I think that's important for games, to be able to acquire new players into a game as it progresses, because the game is progressively getting better, in my opinion. And in fact, most people's opinions, Path of Exile continues to add more and more badass shit into the game, but it does become more difficult to learn. This is a league in which I believe it actually becomes easier to learn, or at least it removes some of the annoying shit that was harder for newer players, like the currency exchange or the black market. There's examples of things that make it a little bit easier for you. So for me, that's a thumb up. I like that a lot. I like that they don't make me be forced into the mechanic. I like that both passive and min-maxers can, get some rewards from this. And overall, it's a pretty fun league. I don't really have any complaints about this one at all. I like it a lot better than the previous Necropolis League. And they also hit their all-time high in terms of player count this league as well. So people seem to really be enjoying it. All in all, if you haven't played Path of Exile 1, it is a difficult game to learn, but it is a good time to try to learn it if you're interested. That's about it. I'm pretty much double thumbs up, double seal of approval, whatever meme video game reviewer type of terminology you want. I'm actually just very much enjoying this league. I'm live every day if you want to see it. Come by, ask questions. And I want to shout out Pox as well for having an absolutely phenomenal build. If you're looking for a good build to get started with the game, I recommend Pox's RF build entirely. That's about it. Love you all. Have a great day.